But first, let's go to the UK, where Boris Johnson continues to, what is the opposite of exceed expectations? Completely puncture and destroy and obliterate his self-cultivated myth as some type of modern media mastermind. Now, look, him and his advisor, Dominique Cummings, are still spinning. They're still at the ready. They still have xenophobic sentiments to exploit. They still have a con job that they're anti-austerity to fully sell. But so far, Boris Johnson's tenure has been an embarrassing, shambolic mess as he loses vote after vote. He lost his parliamentary majority, and he saw a new law passed asking him for an extension of Brexit if there's no deal with the EU. And his negotiations haven't been going so well. Just last Sunday, he failed to attend an outdoor press conference with the Luxembourg's prime minister because I thought this guy was ballsy. He couldn't stand with a little heckling. And check out how he got basically completely humiliated by Luxembourg's leader here, who went ahead with that same press conference.
It's on Mr. Johnson. He holds the future of all UK citizens and every EU citizen living in the UK in his hands.
That's Xavier Bettel going forward with the press conference without Boris Johnson in attendance because he couldn't deal with a little bit of heckling. Jeremy Corbyn is threading the needle. The fundamental dynamics and contours of the argument globally is between the working class and capital. It's between whether or not we have a socially just climate transition. And at the same time, the political reality is that Brexit is at the center of UK political life. Corbyn has been right on so many fundamentals and so brave and so dignified and of incredible leadership that they've brought forward on worker ownerships, on safeguarding the NHS, on the Green New Deal, on a humane foreign policy. But Corbyn is threading that strategy better. Here he is tying the threads together in a speech just the other day.
Today, Parliament stands empty, shut down by a Prime Minister running away from scrutiny. But let me say this. We mustn't ever mistake the drama at Westminster for what real politics is about. What truly matters to people isn't resignations and defections and late-night votes in Parliament. What truly matters is the reality of their everyday lives, in their community, on their streets, and at their workplace. Real politics, for me, is about giving power to people who don't have a lot of money and don't have friends in high places. Johnson and his right-wing cabinet are not only on the side of the establishment, they are the establishment. A general election is coming. But we won't allow Johnson to dictate the terms. And I can tell you this, we're ready for that election. We're ready to unleash the biggest people-powered campaign we've ever seen in this country and in this movement. In the next few weeks, the establishment will come after us with all they've got.
Jeremy Corbyn has his roots in politics, really going back to the 80s, as somebody who spoke out against war, who condemned Saddam Hussein in the 1980s when the United States was selling Saddam Hussein weapons. And part of his politics go back to the 1970s, where he studied and spent time in Michael Manley's Jamaica. Michael Manley, I've covered a lot on this show, particularly in the illicit histories, was a democratic socialist leader who valiantly tried and failed sometimes of his own making, but also because of CIA and U.S. interference, to generate a people's democratic socialism in Jamaica. Corbyn was influenced by that. And he said in Jamaica, where I taught for 2 years, he taught for 2 years during voluntary service. Can you scroll back from this picture? There's a tweet around it. This is a tweet from the People's National Party of Jamaica. Jeremy Corbyn taught in Jamaica between 1970 and 72. He was heavily influenced by Michael Manley, and we congratulate him on a very good campaign. I love that internationalism. Today, the UK Supreme Court will hear arguments regarding whether or not Johnson's decision to prorogate the parliament is legal. It will not be the last legal test he'll face as prime minister. As an election looms, the Lib Dems have been cynically using Brexit to cover up their own atrocious politics, which we'll get to later in the program. The Labour Party and its base are building a movement that's redefining the party, and it's ridding itself of its corporate Blairite wing. It's much bigger than just one election, but this is likely an upcoming battle will be huge, not only to stop a disastrous Tory Brexit, but to build a UK that is committed to the betterment of working people. Supporting the Lib Dems, the nice face of austerity, especially with their ghoulish former Tory converts, will not bring the UK in the future. It will return it to the failed policies that it has gotten us here in the first place. And we will talk more about the utter travesty that is the Lib Dems, the worst centrist party in the globe. And this is we're including members of the Democratic Party, members of Trudeau's Liberals, Macron. The Lib Dems still shine in their utter trash. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.